Welcome back to the Sorghum Harvest Update Series, powered by the Kansas Grain Sorghum Commission. I'm Maddy Meier, and today I'm chatting with Daniel Riffel of Stockton, who also serves as one of our association board of directors. Thanks for joining me today, Daniel, and how are you doing?
Not too bad.
So, start off, could you briefly introduce yourself and your operation and how long you've been raising sorghum?
My name is Daniel Riffel. Like I said, here farming in Stockton, Kansas. My operation pretty diversified. I mean, we have winter wheat, corn, sorghum, soybeans, raise forage sorghum for silage and dry feed for cattle, and alfalfa. And then we have cow-calf cattle operation. And so we've been growing sorghum on our farm. We've been growing it as long as I can remember, since before I was born. You know, it's been a fairly important part of our operation. We're kind of in the part of the state where we're far enough west where it starts to get dry, but not quite far enough west to get into the irrigation country. So we're all dry land. So sorghum has been an important summer crop for a long time where we're at. And with our cattle operation, it's kind of it's been important for forage too, for grazing the stocks after harvest for a while for the cattle to graze. And so I farm with my dad and my uncle and my cousin all together.
And so you mentioned how sorghum definitely plays a role. Do you want to go into a little bit more detail of that snapshot of how sorghum plays a role in your rotation, especially when you're talking about, including diversified livestock in your operation, that kind of thing?
Sure. Where we were at before my time, before we would have started raising sorghum, this would have kind of been just wheat-fallow country. And so sorghum was a really important crop to be able to have something rotate, whereas it just wasn't a kind of a wheat monoculture. For a long time, I mean, old corn hybrids and stuff, before recently you didn't have a very good chance of having a decent corn yield most years where we're at. So sorghum was one crop that was a little more reliable yield-wise, such for summer crops, for rotation, and so it was important to have that. And then, like I said too, we grow forage sorghum hybrids, both for silage, so to cloth and bale for baled feed for our cattle. And so we have kind of a variety of different sorghum crops that have been important and then to us. And then, like I said, after we harvest the sorghum, we'll put the electric fences up around the fields where the stocks are and let the cattle graze there for a couple months. Kind of a key piece that fits right in there with everything we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now looking to the growing season, from planting to heading, how did things look in your field this year, and how did the growing season shape up in your area?
Well, around planting time, I mean, right when we were planting stuff, we had some moisture. We had a little rain kind of before that stuff, so we had some moisture like in the top part of the profile. But where we are this year, we haven't had good moisture like all the way through the soil profile. Early part of the growing season after planting, when we started to get into warmer summer weather and stuff, it wasn't looking super promising for a little while. Till we did start getting some semi-regular rain through the later part of the summer. So it didn't really refill the profile, but it was enough rain often enough that it kept the summer crops watered. So by the end of the growing season, our milo looked really good for the most part. Most places, there were a few fields that didn't get as much rain, or it's just too late for them. They didn't produce as well as we might have hoped. But on the best fields that we've harvested so far, they've been exceptional yield compared to what we'd usually see. Probably the best I've ever seen since I've been back farming here.
Now, speaking of yield, what are you seeing from the cab as far as yield prediction?
Our best yield that we've harvested so far made 126 bushel. We've seen a few fields anywhere, several around 100, couple like 110 to 120. And then, like I said, a couple of the fields that were, and of course they're on like hillier ground for soils, but then they also didn't get as much rain out of some of our summer rains, and so they did not see quite a good growing conditions. I mean, one field was like 70 bushel.
And how does this compare to recent years?
I'd say on the whole, it's going to be a lot better than recent years. Probably in the last 2 years, our best sorghum has been, somewhere right around 100 probably would have been our best fields. 100 or just a little bit over on a whole field.
Well, very good. And just as we round out here today, has this season changed your outlook on sorghum or your cropping decisions going forward?
Supports a little bit the decision to continue having sorghum in our rotation. I know, like I kind of touched on a little bit earlier, recently some of the corn hybrids that are out there now, and then the trend of planting corn a little bit later, lower population in this part of the state, the late low trend has been fairly good for us. We've been able to raise decent dryland corn too, so we have more corn acres in our mix than we used to. And one thing that kind of affects that is with sorghum, the gather cane and Johnson grass issue makes some fields are kind of tough. We kind of need a break from sorghum in the rotation a little bit to help control that. And so that's kind of the place that corn's taking some of those acres, but in the rotation. But I think on the whole, it's just proving that sorghum continues to be a vital part of our rotation and our operation.
And that's all we have time for today. Again, I've been chatting with Daniel Riffel of Stockton, and thank you again for tuning into the Sorghum Harvest Update series, and we'll see you next time.